I ended up in the hospital. Haha. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from bomjumaku off Wood, where he took Syrian Rue. And here's the full report details. Okay, so welcome to a report on Syrian Rue. We brought this up a few times now. Sometimes in ayahuasca brews, and then another trip report by itself. I had this report sitting around for a while now as an extra, so I figured let's just knock this one out and see what's up. bomjumaku was a college student using Syrian Rue to get high, which seems to have worked until he dosed way too high one day. He ends up in a world of puke and agony to say the least, and as you can tell by the title, he has to go to the hospital over it. This is a good story, and one I'm sure you'll enjoy. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. My first dose was early in the day. I'd say it was about 1 p.m. I used 3.52 grams of Syrian Rue seed that I had crushed up with a mortar and pestle into a powder. I made a tea with this, and drank all of it. This stuff is nasty. The effects came on in about 1.5 hours. They were really subtle, and I really enjoyed them. They lasted about 2 hours and did not impair my ability to do any normal task. Walking was more interesting and fun. I went to the dining courts on campus with some friends and my RA. Haha. For some reason, I found myself very interested in the spinach I was eating. I remember that I went to eat at 5 p.m. I hadn't eaten since 3 a.m. the same day. I had a glass of milk, the whites from 2 eggs, and a plate of spinach. I'm pretty sure all this is okay to eat when taking MAOIs. I decided that I really liked the effects. So when I got home, I started making another brew. This is where I made my mistake. I used 10.6 grams of the Syrian Rue this time when making my tea. I let it heat for over an hour this time, where previously I had only let it brew for about 10 minutes. I drained the mix through a few coffee filters. I decided that if I ate the seeds, it would make for a more intense experience. Boy, was I right. Never eat the seeds. I'm not sure exactly how much of the seeds I ate. If I had to guess, I'd say about half of what I used to make the tea ended up in my stomach. I then forced down the tea over the next 30 minutes. Right now, just thinking about the tea is making me nauseous. By the time I had finished the tea, the effects were kicking in. I noticed very mild tracers. I was laying down on a futon next to a friend. There were probably 6 people in my room. I remember wishing that they would be quiet so I could enjoy myself. The effects intensified. I yawned and my jaw popped. I remember this sound echoing over and over and kind of manifesting into a beat for about 30 seconds before it faded away. I remember that one of my friends kept moving around a lot, and every time he would make a movement, it would replay in my head. At one point, I grabbed the back of my head and covered my ears with my forearms to block out the noise from my room. And when I did, I heard blood pumping through my arms. I interpreted this as the sound of helicopter blades. The sound was really deep and pleasant, so I held my arms there for about 10 minutes. I was very calm, relaxed, and happy. If I closed my eyes, I felt the whole room spinning around me. It was around this time I realized that I really had to pee. I sat up and was instantly completely disoriented. My friends did not know what I had taken, and did not believe me when I told them that I didn't think I could make it to the bathroom on my own. I lied back down thinking about my situation. I had been trying to decide whether or not I was going to throw up for the last 15 minutes. I sat up again and prepared myself to attempt to go to the bathroom. I live in a dorm and had to use the public restroom. I started walking and was wobbling back and forth through my friends towards the door. Luckily, my room is right next to the bathroom. I managed to make it into the bathroom. I probably missed the door handle 4 times before I could open it. At this point, the tracers were very intense. My senses seemed to be overloaded very easily, so I tried to keep my eyes closed as much as possible. I got to the urinal, and as I was finishing up, I realized that the vomit was imminent. I rushed to the stall and got to the toilet right in time. I threw up instantly. At this point, it's safe to say that I knew I had done something wrong. The tracers were now so bad that I would only open my eyes for seconds at a time in order to get a general idea of where things were, or where I was, or if the stall door was locked. I couldn't decide if I should keep the stall door locked or not. I didn't want people to have a hard time opening the door if I passed out. And I didn't particularly want people seeing me in the state that I was in. Luckily, my friends came in and checked on me pretty often, about every 15 minutes. But to me, it felt like they were taking hours between each visit. I went back and forth between on my knees vomiting, having diarrhea, and laying on the floor of the bathroom. All I wanted was for this to stop, but I read extensively about other people's experiences and knew that my ordeal was far from over. Eventually, my RA got wind of my shenanigans and came into the bathroom. Surprisingly, for the state that I was in, I was completely coherent of my surroundings and able to articulate myself fully. My RA decided to call the ambulance against my wishes. When the paramedics got there around 11 p.m., I had managed to pull up my pants. I told them that I had taken an MAOI and that I was just vomiting because I had eaten the seeds. They had no idea what MAOIs were. Well, I ended up in the hospital until about 2 a.m. They gave me an IV because I was dehydrated from vomiting and made me take some nausea pills. I just waited for the effects to fade and they let me go. On my way home, I vomited again, something that I was used to by now. Walking to my room, I realized that I still had pretty intense tracers. However, I was able to walk by myself, something that I was very grateful for. I lay down and enjoyed the tracers when waving my hand back and forth. I slept pretty well. I woke up this morning. I'm writing this report the day after, and I felt well rested. Almost all the effects are gone now. It's 10:43 p.m. Everything still seems a little surreal, as I imagine it will be for the next few days. Overall, the experience was worth having, even though it was horrible. I now respect my health much more, and I respect the power that some of these plants have. As for now, I don't want to ever try Syrian Rue again. I may just stick to light drinking once in a while. I don't really feel like I need to search for a crazy high anymore because my experience was pretty horrifying. If you are thinking about taking this, please consider what happened to me. Don't eat the seeds, whatever you do.